Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 Podcast Boogaloo. I was up all night, whole pot of coffee for that joke. Joining me tonight are Preacher,
Hey guys.
Skies,
Yo.
Bell,
Hello.
with our special guest host, Alt.
Greetings.
Tonight we've got Minecraft news, Steam news, covering good, bad, ugly, and indie games. Covering good, bad, and ugly indie games.
You're doing this on purpose because I'm editing this first.
No, I'm not. I'm not. All right, look, I'll...
Yes, you are.
Fuck.
He's nervous. We have an audience.
No, I am the king of we'll fix it in post, alright? I will cut this if you want me to.
Everybody listening, if we decide to keep this, his first run in his first podcast, he did this flawlessly, on the first try.
Well, I took several minutes prior to that before to kind of prep everything. I had a little prompter written for myself. I don't this time.
Seems awful convenient.
Yes, well, we are live recorded before a live studio audience.
Which animal are we killing this evening?
We're killing goats tonight. That's what we're doing. Moving on to our first topic, thermal dynamics now being included in mod packs. Who else is pumped for this?
At long last, it has returned.
Is that the pipe section of the regular thermal expansion mod?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I love that. See, now I'm such a big fan of this because I hate when like a mod pack updates and then suddenly all the pipes and the nodes and the whatnot from different mods just decides it doesn't want to get along anymore. But that happened to us on our last server, and you might remember the entire base just shit the tub.
Can these new pipes now, though, with this brand new update, can they compete with the Ender IO pipes?
Yes, actually.
You can have power and items going in the same block, but you can't have power, liquid, and items all going in the same block. You can also have power and liquid going in the same block, but you can't have all three going in the same block.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe that's some kind of balance thing on their end. But, I mean, that is a big plus. That was the best part about Ender IO, hands down.
Personally, I think it's good because Tima, RW Tima, the mod maker who made thermodynamics, I think he wants people to use his transfer nodes in their pipes because everything can flow through those.
Well, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I really like thermal expansion because the models are actually simpler, and when you have thousands upon thousands of cable, when you're using thermal expansion stuff, 3 sets of separate cables, each 6 vertices each, is actually less laggy than 3,000 individual blocks with however many vertices are in an Ender IO cable bundle.
Also, you get to choose how much lag you have, too. You have the clear ones, or you have the solid ones, which is a huge bonus in my book.
I'm actually playing a mod pack that has thermodynamics in it. It's the Rising World. I've actually got a series going on it right now. But yeah, I've been using the thermodynamics pipes because they're a lot cheaper than the
It's okay,
Ender IO.
Lau. We can edit out the hiccups. It's no big.
No, I was saying plug. I was saying plug.
Yes, plug. Yes, plug.
Now, I am a big fan of cheap pipe. Because, I mean, it is just a pipe. How complicated does it have to be? This is why I never, ever touch the extra utilities ones. They are so needlessly complicated. However good the nodes are, they're just made from parts that you had to build out of other parts, that you had to build out of other parts, and by the end, you've probably had to construct about 500 different pieces of thing just to get one pipe.
That is why I saw all of Ryan's.
Well, to be fair, extra utilities was a lot simpler in 1.6.4, and they kind of rebalanced along the great rebalancing, as I like to call it, between 1.6.4 and 1.7.10. A lot of developers changed the way stuff worked to accommodate for other changes, so now everything is, pardon me if I say, grindy.
Well, grindy is all hell, to be sure, but I mean, this is a pipe, not a modular power suit.
Point very well taken.
There is a top tier pipe for thermodynamics, and it transmits infinite power, which is great for those crazy builds with like huge amounts of power from like big reactors.
Don't forget about Draconic Evolution, that new mod which has like RF storage in the trillions.
Oh yeah.
Did they ever fix that range issue they had in 1.64?
Range issue? What do you mean?
Well, in Agrarian Skies is where I noticed the most, where I'd have one power system and one major ISO system, and sometimes the pipes would just not detect at a certain point, like that something could go through. Did they ever fix that?
I think that's more of a Minecraft issue than a mod issue, because when chunks load and unload, it may not properly trigger a block update, which the pipes rely on to detect adjacent pipes and storage containers. I ran into the issue on a 1.6.4 server I played on, when our base extended beyond the chunk boundaries.
That was a big problem we had with our AE system, actually. We had to keep the whole thing chunk loaded.
Yep. Well, we did have it split between two halves of the map.
Well, I mean, just within the one base, though. You might remember we had the Blood Altar and the Ars Magica room with the other terminal, and that wouldn't load from the top, which is why I had to keep the constant chunk loader. Well, that and we were using Cursed Earth for blood.
Oh, yeah. That was such a pretty room.
It was. That was a good room.
So what else has been added in thermal in the new version?
Instead of the pneumatic servos on the pipes, which are a separate thing that you have to add on after the fact, there are different tiers of servos, and there are filters, and there are retrievers, and they all have different tiers. The most basic ones you make with iron nuggets, glass, and redstone for the servos, and then you change out the redstone for a piece of paper, and you have a filter. Instead of hitting the end of the pipe with a wrench and having it go from red, which pulls things out, to blue, which pushes things in, it's just a different item. You put it on there, and you can either apply a redstone signal, or it has the usual little pop out that thermal expansion machines have with the redstone control. Mm-hmm. And the more expensive it is, the more slots you get to filter on, and the more options you have with it, like whitelisting, NBT data, metadata, mod author. You can also have them do nearest first, farthest first, round robin, and random.
So you can just set it to random and watch your entire factory explode. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, basically, you'll end up with coal going into your pulverizer, you'll end up with iron going into your redstone furnace, and you won't know what the heck's going on.
I just want to watch the world burn. Random.
Well, you say burn, but you're forgetting that it'll also explode, implode, melt, and freeze.
They also have to mention all the new pipes, too. Instead of just the one making them go quicker, the dense pipes, they also now have the instantaneous travel pipes.
The warp item ducts.
Yes, those ones.
Those are awesome. You get instant transmission of items or fluids from one point to another, and the model for them is awesome.
I always knew Scotty was on top of his game.
It looks like the Tesseract on the inside of the pipe, and it flashes every time something goes through. It just pulses, and it's so amazing to look at.
Is there a seizure warning with that?
No, it's a gentle pulse.
Oh, so no Druid sandstorming?
No. This is not rave party kind of flashing. This is like gentle pulsing. It's like so calm and soothing and oh.
Well, you mentioned it's like a Tesseract. What advantages does it have over a Tesseract?
It's good for shorter distances. You can run it from your sorting system to your processing center, and your items go instantaneously from one end to the other. The only disadvantage is if you want them to run as fast as possible, it requires power.
Well, with big reactors, I don't see that being much of a problem.
No, you just have to hook your pipe into a power cable, and that's it.
Well, the statistical likelihood, because of the fact they'll probably be used to transport large quantity of items, makes that not so big an issue.
Yeah, it's just a little bit expensive. Especially if you don't have if you don't have a steady source of ender pearls, you're going to find it very hard to get the enderium needed to make them.
So, would you say it costs $1 million?
Not quite. Maybe $750,000.
Oh.
Well, $1 million in Minecraft. That's like printing leaves. Just saying.
I had those out of the tree farm. Just grab a couple barrels full.
Exactly.
So, I think we forgot to kill an animal last time, so this time we're gonna have to kill 2 goats. Jake?
Dang it.
Why am I sacrificing 2 goats? We
missed the last one. He got out on it, and he's not getting away.
Please don't make goat noises while I kill an animal. I'm already getting enough of them here.
Okay, fine.
See, Ryan doesn't have to handle the bodies.
Just run them in acid. I don't know.
The Dark Lord don't take acid. Well, the Dark Lord probably takes acid. I don't know. Alright, so we'll sacrifice another goat.
Mm-hmm.
So, Preacher, I understand you have brought us 3 reviews for episode 2.
Yes, indeed I have. I have a good, and I have a bad, and I have an ugly.
You Clint Eastwooded it.
I kind of had to. For the good, it's a game on Steam. It's Ascent, the space game. Now, this game looks amazing. Plain and simple. You can customize your ship completely. There is over 270 billion, that's with a B, billion systems that you can explore. And that's just in single player. You can make space stations, you can make colonies on planets, you can actually get out of your ship and walk around on the planet.
Heresy!
It still has the one issue I have with many games that are amazing looking right now on the market. Has 3 words right underneath the title called Early Access Game.
Yes, but that means if you get it now and it's amazing now, imagine how much better it will be when it's actually not early access.
Now, speaking of amazing, I am looking at the custom paint jobs for the ship, and I am seeing a neon red zebra print ship.
Yeah, you can do that, but it's customizable to whatever you want.
What do you mean can? I think you mean should. If you can't fly through the stars looking fab, what's the point?
Exactly. Another amazing feature that I think is really cool is if you are on a multiplayer server and somebody that you're playing with builds a colony on a planet and then just abandons it, it's like, I'm sick and tired of this planet, I'm moving somewhere else. That colony isn't just abandoned, it gets taken over by space pirates.
Space pirates?
Yes, space pirates.
Any zombies?
No, I don't think they have zombies. But they do have space pirates. It basically turns into an NPC base where they send out ships to attack people that are going by.
So is it always a pirate faction? It's never like some benevolent NPC or just like, a ye old general store that sets up shop there?
From what I can tell, I don't think so. I don't think they have that feature completely all the way added in yet. Right now, they're just working with space pirates.
Well, good enough. At least it's interesting.
But I think they're making the multiplayer so that way anybody who's playing the game can sit there and set up a shop on a planet or on a space station. You can build your own space station in this game. You can go mining, you can go trading, you can go anti-space pirate and just blow the crap out of them. Do whatever you want, and you have 270 billion star systems to explore. All procedurally generated.
I've never quite understood why people take it that far. I mean, they have to know that people will never hit all that.
Well, that's the thing of it.
I know that means you can go anywhere and it's exciting and, there's a great unknown out there that other players may never have breached into, but there's a point where I think too much is too much.
Well, I think they're trying to do a one-up on Elite Dangerous.
Well, from what you're telling me about their current content, that's not going to be too hard.
Yeah, no.
If you want to go numbers, Elite's at 400 billion. I'm not sure if that's a one-up.
It's a significant advance upon it, especially if they find a way to up it further.
Well, what did Elite start with?
400 billion.
They started with 400 billion?
It's the Milky Way galaxy.
Oh, well then.
Yeah.
But in Elite, you can't get out of your ship yet, can you?
What matters is they've one-upped them on content.
You're super glued to that ship.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Moving on to the bad section of my indie game reviews is Navy Field 2, Conqueror of the Oceans. Now, this is a game on Steam that's kind of like World of Tanks.
It looks like World of Tanks.
Except you're in ships. Yeah. It's got most of the same mechanics. You research your ships, you get different parts, you get different officers that do different things, you can upgrade your ship. All that's good and great and everything. It's not pay to win, as far as I can tell. You do Navy battles and you get gold, and that's how you get things in the game. And part of the bad of this game is if you're in the United States, there's only one server. And if you're in Europe, there's only one server. And the server in America is based out of Seattle. So if you are in Maine and you're running the game and you're having a bad connection to the server in Seattle, you're going to have a bad time. And the server in Europe is based out of the Ukraine, which is also another bad thing, because if you're in Scotland and you're trying to play the game and you have a bad connection, you're going to have a bad time. Also, there's very few different factions that you can be part of. There's the American Navy, there's the Japanese Navy, there's the pretty much British Navy, and
Germany?
German, I think, yes.
How many factions did we have?
Well, it's all based off of, like, World War II.
Well, if you're going to have the British Navy, you've got to have the German Navy, because the British Navy didn't participate in the Japanese theater.
Yeah, but you got British ships going up against Japanese ships, and it's just weird, because you're all in the same place.
Yeah, true enough, actually. It is just Conqueror of the Ocean in the title. Just the one ocean.
Yeah. When you're on your main menu screen before you go into a battle, you can only do one zoom in or zoom out in one direction to get a better look at your ship, and you can't zoom in that far. That's another gripe that people have had. You can't sit there and take a 360 view of your ship. Another gripe that people are having with it is that if you don't play the tutorial, it's very hard to understand how the controls work for the game. I watched a video on YouTube of a guy who just booted up the game and went straight in and didn't do the tutorial, and he sat there for a good 15 minutes wondering why his ship was going so slow, and that's because he didn't look around the screen and say, oh, hey, look, there's a throttle for my ship.
I think that's a good thing.
It's not exactly intuitive. The game doesn't tell you how to attack immediately. I mean, you got to go through the tutorial to learn things. And most people, they just boot up the game and they're like, all right, I got this. And they get blown out of the water.
They get punished for not following the proper methods of starting a new game. You do the tutorial. If you don't know what you're doing, you do the tutorial.
It's just RTFM.
Speaking of RTFM.
Which brings me to the ugly. The ugliest thing ever. Universal Combat Collector's Edition. This is a game in its 6th iteration. Same game, updated graphics. The company that put this out has tried putting this game out 6 different times. It is currently for free on Steam. That should tell you something right there. They're not looking to make money off this. They just want to get the game out there somehow and try and get a whole new level of nightmares for people.
Nightmares, I am seeing that they have 93 pages of documents. They don't actually mention what kind of documents. That might be pages from their court case. I don't know if they have a court case, but it might be that. Might be newspaper clippings. Just 93 pages of documents. 6 pages of commands and a 97-page tutorial. All apparently built in, with the biggest complaint being that it doesn't work.
Well, the biggest complaint is that the developer said, do not Alt-Tab. You cannot tab out of this game to look at the manual. You have to sit there and basically go through like a college coursework before you get to play the game to figure out how to work the game.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. They say it's included, that you can access it in-game. The number one complaint I've seen regarding that is that you can't actually access them in-game, but if that doesn't work, there's the printout PDF, but you can't Alt-Tab to it.
Yeah, you cannot Alt-Tab in this game. It will crash. This game has all sorts of random bugs that will either shut down the game, shut down Steam, or shut down your computer completely. And yet, they're still pushing this onto people. These are bugs that have been in the game since the first version of it.
Have they
and
ever
still haven't fixed it
for the game?
They did at one time. They did, indeed. The first, second, and third versions of it were all hard copies. They were on CDs, and they had the manual, a physical copy of the manual included with the game, which was, not that bad. You get stuck in the game. All right, break out the book, like back in the old school days.
Break out your Sunday edition of the New York Times, you mean?
Yeah, basically. But nowadays, people don't print things out. They don't go to paper anymore. They go Alt-Tab, and they look things up on the wiki if they get lost. You can't do that with this game. You will crash.
I'm just going to point out that the minimum requirements is for XP.
Yeah.
Which is older than... It's almost as old as me.
So it's just an old game they brought to Steam with newer graphics. I mean, that's not that bad. It's free. I mean, I wouldn't play it because it looks like garbage, but...
But they haven't touched the code at all.
I can't bitch. It's free.
They haven't touched the code in 25 years.
It's free!
That's the only
So
plus.
is carbon dioxide usually. Doesn't mean it's good for you or you'll enjoy it.
But you have to breathe air. You can't... You can choose not to play this game, and if you want to play it, you didn't lose anything except some time. You didn't lose any money.
Time is money, buddy.
This is a game from 1996 that they've tried releasing 6 different times, and the major game developer says, don't Alt-Tab, because it'll crash your game. In this modern day and age, you cannot do that with a game.
Yeah, but it's coding designed for a much older system. I mean, they essentially gave you a slightly... I mean, its graphics still look like ass, but if they're updated, they gave you updated graphics for free. If you still like the old game. Granted, it runs like ass, but they gave you something for nothing.
Well. Here's the really interesting thing. Steam themselves say since it's having age issues with the graphics, they're going to refresh it again and update the graphics again.
Again. What is this? Groundhog Day for game releases?
Basically, this game is just a reoccurring nightmare for people who bought the first version of this game.
So, on to a note of good faith, charity, and hope.
Okay.
This war of mine has released the Warchild Charity DLC. Now, if you guys haven't heard of this, 100% of the proceeds are going to the Warchild Charity UK. This is a little piece of DLC that will add some, if I may say, pretty kick-ass street art to your game. You guys know I'm a big fan of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's available in $1, $10, and $20 packages, and 11-bit is not keeping a dime out of this.
That's pretty noble of them, I do have to say. I mean, not many developers donate any or all of the proceeds from an item they made out of their pocket to charity.
Yeah, the artists, of course, are of course not keeping anything either. It's every penny of it. So this is not some 5 or 10% publicity stunt. This is people trying to make the world better. You know, I felt we had to acknowledge them in this because it did just hit the market.
Okay, well, good on them. Good on them.
Well, I doubt the studio thought initially that the game was going to be such a huge hit, and then with all the publicity that they're like, we can do this because we brought the issues to the light, and now let's do something about it. And gamers, here's your choice.
I mean, yeah, you can do as little as $1, and that's all right because surely that makes a difference.
Well, every penny counts when it comes to something like this.
Without a doubt. I'm just going to point this out to people who aren't familiar with this war of mine. It wore the Indie Game Festival Finalist Award. Time said it was one of the best games of 2014, and it won an award at GDC.
And it deserved every one of them. I don't mind sharing, I have this game, and I loved every minute of it. Although I will say, I never walked away from playing it feeling good.
I think that was the point.
I will guarantee you that was the point. I was usually downtrodden afterward.
But I do have to say the developer did a very good job in bringing their message across.
Well, it's a game about war, but you're not a soldier, you're a civilian surviving in a war zone. I mean, it's not supposed to be, go kill the enemy. It's supposed to be survive and make it through it.
And your choices have real consequences throughout the whole entire story. More so than any other game I can imagine.
I will admit, actually, on my first playthrough, I mismanaged my survivors to the point where one of them was shot down by a sniper trying to get medicine for another one that died of some heretofore unknown illness. And the third one got so depressed by the whole thing that they committed suicide.
Oi.
That was my first playthrough.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the reason I don't get it, because I'm horrible with people to begin with. I don't need any more reason or proof that I'm bad.
Well, speaking of bad with people, guess what else hit the market this week?
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, we're swinging headlong into the other end of murder.
You mean the chest of a goat?
Yes, the chest of a goat. I am swinging headlong into the chest of a goat But we're going to be putting on that goat's head, donning it as a mask, and murdering people in Hotline Miami 2. Wrong number.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. You guys know I was looking forward to this one.
To be honest, who isn't? Retro graphics, a good soundtrack, and a beat 'em up of which the world hasn't seen since Hotline Miami 1.
In an unforgiving environment, the slightest error punishing you with death, sending you back to the beginning of the level. I loved this game from start to finish. It was everything a sequel ought to be. It took away the features that didn't work, it threw in more features that did. If you loved the story, they gave you more. If you loved the gameplay, they definitely got you covered. They left the variety that the last one had, and they gave it to you in installments this time. You play as a host of different characters, not just the one. Well, 2 with bonus.
And the masks matter this time, I believe.
Well, they mattered in the last one.
More so, for the bear mask, you can double wield SMGs, and which you couldn't do in the previous one, to my knowledge.
No, you couldn't. Although it's not just a mask that the bear is actually his own character.
Characters are the master characters.
In most cases, yes. Although they do have this one lunatic mafia boss who, and he gets different accessories that give him different styles. I don't call him a lunatic because his dialogue is crazier than other people's. I call him a lunatic because at one point he shows up to a Colombian-run club with the intent of murdering everyone inside there. The man is made of about 60 pounds of scar tissue, and he just shows up with a katana to a place he knows is loaded with guns. A katana and broken sunglasses and a white suit.
Always bring a katana to a gunfight. You're sure to go crazy and murder everybody.
I mean, apparently, that in my playthrough, because he determined that he was well armed for that situation, I dedicated myself to using no weapon but the katana unless they forced me to use something else to kill specific enemies.
And how did that fare?
Very poorly. I think I got a D on that level.
Of all places where I found out about Hotline Miami was in the school. My classmate was playing it during a class.
I had to watch a playthrough because my timing was not quick enough. I got murdered repeatedly for hours on end.
And we all got murdered repeatedly. Unfortunately, its initial release wasn't without a few hitches. There were some problems I ran into. I will start this by saying, once again, I wholeheartedly recommend this, but there were some moments where I felt like maybe they ran out of time or out of a budget for one thing that made it feel like they kind of glazed over some important aspects. A particularly big one being Alex and Ash, a sister and brother combo wielding a chainsaw and a gun respectively. You play as both at the same time, which was an entirely new concept, and they're great fun to be. Except every so often, Ash gets himself stuck on a door, sometimes at the beginning of a level, or on a table, and he just stops following you. Forever. It's a bit of a problem when your gunman can't get past the door.
Just a smidge.
He was actually fairly difficult to control, too, because, I mean, his point of aim is not where your character is, it's where his character is.
I mean, I'm looking at pictures of this, and it looks like something from the Super Nintendo era.
You could say it's Zelda with blood.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. It was a toss-up between that and Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
A Link to the Machine Gun Blast.
I mean, as pretty as the levels are for something done in this style, this retro style, I did also have some problems determining what objects could and couldn't be shot over. I was a little less jazzed about level design with this one because there were a lot of long corridors past the range of your camera that had windows and guys with guns that will see you and gleefully gun you down, and you're unable to see them completely. And you have no way of knowing that that particular corridor at the end of the difficult level has armed men until you get shot.
The game's mostly about learning, so now you know.
And learning is one thing, but being punished for something you literally can't learn until it's happened.
Well, to quote something else that's retro, that learning is half the battle.
We're not going to edit in the Joe. No, I won't do that.
I know. Another one that got released fairly recently, as in yesterday, is Sid Meier's Starships.
Oh yes. Now I've been eyeballing this one. Supposed to be sort of the the opposite of what like a Civilization game is. A Civilization game begins and then you actually play it for the rest of your life.
I mean, if you don't come out of a Civilization game with a full beard, you're not playing right.
Or at least stubble. Come on, man.
And this one, you play it for 2 to 3 hours, start to finish.
Wow.
Yeah. While still maintaining customization, tech trees, empire expansion.
So it's essentially a fast-paced version of Civ, like actually fast-paced.
Exactly.
That sounds fantastic. What other quirks does it have that people would like?
Modular ships. That was the thing that really stuck out for me. You just pick your modules and you keep expanding your ship to build either your battleship, your cruiser, your carrier, whatever you want to build.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, true enough, actually, most of the tactics in the game, it's not, use artillery on city, surround them by units that can handle 1 hex combat. You make your ships modular, and you can make a bunch of fast little ships that excel at guerrilla tactics. You can make a few behemoths that can just obliterate smaller vessels that they come across. You can really focus each and every individual piece of your fleet.
Now, it got released yesterday on Steam, and the price on it, $14.99 US.
For the entire game.
That's
for
a
the
lot
entire game.
cheaper than I thought it would be, because I'm looking at these screenshots going, with a strong but for 14, 15 bucks, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Any DLC?
Not at this moment that I can tell, but it was just yesterday. Some of the complaints that people have been having about the way it actually looks. Some people say that some of the menu screens look like they come out of a 1996 space exploration game.
It does look pretty cheesy from what I'm seeing. I think we've really been spoiled by games like Civ 5 because I did a little bit of homework on what it took for Civ 5, and they had a guy specifically dedicated to the art, design, feel, look, and pleasure of menu buttons, just for the look of the buttons.
And with this, it just looks like something out of the original StarCraft.
Yeah.
Admittedly, they do lack some of the finer detail.
Both enough complaints. They may switch out the control scheme.
Well, you're not really playing a game like this for its art, are you? I mean, I want my game to look pretty, but it's not
For
essential.
$15, it's pretty good value. But anything in space really needs 3 dimensions and needs to be better looking than this. But again, for $15, it's not bad.
Well, 3 dimensions is always great, but this is a Sid Meier's Hex game.
Yeah, that kind of locks them into the 2D plane, unfortunately. It doesn't lend itself to space combat, like with ships. I mean, it could just be me. I'm not a very big fan of top-down space games. They don't do it for me. It breaks that kind of space sci-fi immersion when I'm looking down on a bunch of starships moving on one plane. I mean, you could easily just put a water texture underneath there instead of a star map, and those could be boats. Nothing about this says space to me, really.
As your partner in crime for many a space game, I wholeheartedly, agree. I enjoy my 3rd dimension. However, if I just want something that's quick and like Civ, but I can have a game in a night, and we're not setting up a night that we can all meet once a week and play for a few hours like we have to do in reality.
This is supposed to tie into Beyond Earth somehow, isn't it? Because this would be a lot better if this was just part of a Beyond Earth game.
Well, I think this game came to existence by the dev team that made Beyond Earth. When they were while working on it, so I was like, hey, this is a good idea. We should add this bit. And eventually it became its own game. Like a tumor on the side of the game that they broke off, rounded off the edges, and then put out once the game after Beyond Earth came out. Now we have the Starships. The game that was probably made a side game that was made.
This really, I think, belongs in Beyond Earth. Really, I mean, because there's no real reason to play Beyond Earth. It's like Civ 5 without the pedigree and flavor. It's.
Or the DLC.
This would have, or the DLC. This would have given you a reason to play Civ 5, Beyond Earth, and would have made it a lot more unique. This is a standalone, really doesn't work.
I think they might have been developing it as a DLC, but then it just got too big for its britches, and then they said, you know what, we'll just make it its own game.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the reason why it's $14.99. You get a full game instead of like $10 for a DLC.
The price didn't fit what they did.
I mean, compare it with something like the Gods and Kings DLC for Civ 5, which is like $30. It is a really good value.
You know, Gods and Kings was worth every penny. If I can't conquer the world with faith, what's the point?
Well, I'll conquer the world with sleeping with every single city state I can.
Okay. So, Jake, are you out of goats yet? Do we have enough left to finish this?
I got plenty of goats. Are you kidding? I bought the whole farm. Alright, Old McDonald sold out to our broadcast.
Good, because it looks like we're gonna have to kill a goat so we can move on to Chrome and its nefarious ways. What's happening with this?
Well, because the next two items really are tied together, Google Chrome started blocking downloads to the newest version of Utorrent, claiming they were malware. And this is largely due to the fact that the newest version of Utorrent and their sponsor, quote-unquote, sponsor offers came with Bitcoin mining software that would automatically mine on your PC.
Yes, but that's an option.
And lowering the life of your PC.
That's an option. When you're installing Utorrent, you have to sit there and click through everything and read, which most people don't do, and click off the things that you don't want. And most people don't do that, and so they're sitting there going, well, this installed on my machine, and I didn't approve it. You did because you clicked past it without reading.
Well, some of the reports actually said that the sponsor offers were still installed upon update, not new install, even if they did untick it.
Well, this is actually a program that I use for some stuff, like, free music downloads that they sponsor. Shush you.
Fuck.
Well, as a result of this, a bunch of people have been informed about the multitude of other torrenting clients available.
Well, I'm still using it, and I update it regularly, and I've been actually looking for the Bitcoin miner that gets installed with the updates. I have yet to find it.
It is the Utorrent itself is the Bitcoin.
No,
miner.
it actually installs a different program. It's not built into the hardware for it. It installs a different program. It's called Epic Scale.
It's a sponsor offer. It's not part of the actual Utorrent suite.
I hit yes on it just to see what happened, and nothing downloaded. And then when my computer was idling, my CPU kind of maxed out for half an hour.
Yeah, that's the sponsor that you clicked yes to, having the client installed without showing an install screen.
Dun 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 dun.
Or showing a task manager, the thing you said a minute ago. Only thing that was up was Utorrent.
Alright, first of all, because you did this, you're going to need to look at probably the link in the doc to try and find the uninstall instructions, because apparently you have to kill the separate processes within 5 seconds of one another. Otherwise, it'll just keep coming back, like the spawn of Satan.
Really? After I uninstalled Utorrent, it didn't do it again. I will do it just to
make sure that you get everything off of there. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Play it safe. But yeah, I personally don't use Utorrent anymore because I didn't like the fact that their advertising options were purchased by the MPAA back around version 2.5-ish. So I use transmission.
Yeah, well, I'm one of those old school downloaders. I still use Utorrent, but before that, way back in the day, I used to use Napster. Back when it was free. Back before all this stuff happened.
Before it got shut down.
This message sponsored by Napster.
I downloaded stuff over dial-up.
Buddy, you weren't the only one.
I currently use Qubit.
I've heard of Qubit. It seems okay, but really, I still like transmission.
Now, speaking of things that come bundled, what's this about Java getting bundled with something?
Alright, you're all aware about how Java on OS X is updated by Apple, right?
Yes.
Maybe?
Alright, well, apparently Apple pushed out a Java update to update their current versions of OS X's Java to the current version that we have on other platforms, being Windows and insert Linux here. And in doing so, they now include Ask.com bundled offers. So, like when you install it, it says, would you like to install the Ask.com toolbar? Would you like to set Bing to your default search engine? Would you like to blah, 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 blah? It now does that on OS X.
What, you don't want the Ask toolbar? I thought everybody wanted like 8 toolbars.
I want them to stop asking.
I think everybody wants them to stop asking, because nobody asks Ask.com anything anymore.
Nobody asks Bing either. It doesn't stop them. Well, I say that, but I'm sure some folk do. I've never cared for Bing. It always seems to get it wrong.
Well, it finds the most obscure thing related slightly, partially to the thing you're actually looking for, and puts that as the first thing that comes up.
Apparently, Engadget discovered that there is now a 20,000 plus signature petition to ask the company to remove the Ask.com toolbar on all platforms. And that thing has been alive for more than 2 years, and they've gotten no response from Oracle.
So it automatically installs this toolbar, or it's a check option when you're installing Java?
It's a check option, but it's checked by default.
So basically, if you run through it like with Utorrent install and go too long, don't read, you're going to end up with a bunch of crapware installed on your computer, and you're going to be going, wait, what?
Moral of this story is, always read installation instructions so you don't accidentally pollute your computer and make it practically unusable.
Or, we could just go to short route and say RTFM.
We can't RTFM. We were bashing people for using RTFM just a few minutes ago.
Well, in this case, you can.
All right, fine. When the manual is only a checkbox that exists on one page.
RTFM.
If it's 97 pages, the hell with it. Set it on fire. Use it as kindling. You'll be better off.
I have a Nook for that reason. A month and a half of battery life, and all I keep on it are manuals.
Just as a quick aside, and dating the content, when it comes to setting things on fire, there's a favorite quote of mine: "Build a man a fire, he's warm for a day. Set a man on fire, he's warm for the rest of his life." The Tao of Pratchett.
Yeah, I've heard and used that before. It's fantastic. The looks on my teachers, though, was a mix between disdain and disgust.
Well, that's a quote from one of my favorite book series by Jim Butcher, but I bring that up because Terry Pratchett, author of the Discworld series, passed away at age 66 after a 2 or 3 year fight with Alzheimer's. So we've lost him. I don't know how most people who have read his books are going to handle this. I know a good portion of the authors that I read have all been influenced by him. I don't know how they're going to handle this either. Yeah, Leonard Nimoy and now Terry Pratchett. I really don't have a good segue for this.
Actually, you know what? No, Jake, kill another animal. This is it. All right.
How many goats do you want me to murder in one night, man?
Well, this war of mine has inspired me, and we can donate all the meat to a homeless shelter in town.
I don't think if we show up with a Land Rover full of dead goats, they're going to accept it. They're going to call the fucking cops.
I bet you the bums will be happy to take it then. Either way, it's getting to the bums, okay?
Make it into stew first. Just make it into stew first.
We can't just give meat to, raw meat to a bunch of homeless folk, right? That's how Condemned started.
Surely one of them knows how to skin an animal. So the animal's dead. You've fed another man for a week. What is going on with Panda's antivirus software trying to kill itself?
Alright, here's the gist of the story. Panda Antivirus is a low-cost, supposedly enterprise solution to people who want enterprise-grade antivirus, specifically for IT startups, schools, stuff like that, but can't afford it due to budgetary constraints. I've never heard of them up until this incident, but apparently in a Windows update, it changed a DLL file, which their antivirus marked as virus-laden, and the default action was to quarantine it, and it removed it from the Windows System 32 folder.
Oh no, so they've just turned that tower into a brick.
Yeah, here's the best part. This in conjunction with Windows updates, this would usually run at boot, and Windows Update would update it, so your computer would update, automatically restart, do this, and then you would have a brick computer in the course of approximately an hour. So, good luck delaying that update long enough to fix it.
Have fun with your new paperweight.
Apparently a lot of systems administrators are rather upset about this because their stingy boss made them use Panda, and now they are stuck in a screw hole.
Finally, some evidence for surfing the internet bareback. Just forget antivirus, don't worry about it.
You know, just you don't need it. You can go with, I don't know, Norton or something. No, please don't.
Don't use Norton.
Don't.
And don't go with that Norton clone McAfee either.
Use neither McAfee, nor Norton, nor AVG, especially the new versions.
I've been liking Kaspersky, personally.
You know, I've been using Avast for years.
I used to be an AVG guy, but really I don't really need any of that stuff anymore. I run a scan once a month using Security Essentials, and that's basically it.
Well, here's an interesting thing about AVG. It's the only antivirus besides the Windows built-in that will work with the Windows 10 technical preview.
That's interesting.
Avast won't work with it.
Well, there's probably been a lot of back-end changes they haven't accomplished yet, and it's still a technical preview. You can't expect everything to work.
Actually, the fact that I was afraid things wouldn't work is the only reason I don't have the Windows 10 preview on here. I mean, because frankly, I would like to have, you know, my Cortana assistant.
Don't you even. In case anyone wants to know, and no you don't, I'm a big Halo lore guy, and the fact that they have given something that's not a true AI that name is just an insult. It's an insult. It's a slap in the face and a spit in your eye. It's not right. Like, if I had a wife, I would rather the executive that came up with that sleep with my wife than him do that with that name. No, it's wrong. It's wrong.
You know, man, last time it was the children, this time it's the wives. You don't think very highly of family.
They're just a buffer between me and the world.
Family schmamly. Maple syrup is thicker than blood.
Maple syrup will kill you try to inject it.
Well, obviously it's thicker than blood.
Where's Wilfred Brimley when you need him? Damn, dude. I just need him to bust through the wall. Exactly, he's here to offer you your diabetes testing supplies.
At low or no cost to you.
Free of charge if Medicare denies your claim. Alright, we need him right now to stop you in your maple syrup injecting ways.
He needs to get to the Canadians quickly.
I already have maple syrup anyway.
So, speaking of Cortana and games, I did not add this last link on the dock to my tabs, and I just read it, and are you serious? Who found this?
I found this. I was browsing Reddit at last minute. Sorry I didn't give you guys a head up, but apparently GameStop in somebody's local hometown out in the Midwest was found throwing away a lot of the old consoles like PlayStation 2s, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 accessories and peripherals completely working.
Oh, well, hell, I'm going dumpster diving then.
Jake, I know where there's a GameStop like almost by itself on a plaza.
Was it just the GameStop, or just the one, or was it universally they're doing?
Well, I've seen this done across the country. I know my local GameStop does this, and this is the first time I've ever seen video documented proof of it being done in other states. It's definitely done all over.
Guys, get the bolt cutters.
Yeah, think about storage though. A GameStop only has so many square feet, and thousands of gamers that go to
thousands
them.
of new items every day.
But the problem is, with a lot of retail outlets that throw away whatever they've got, be it electronics, food, what have you, there's no reason why you couldn't call, like, a local church, Salvation Army. I mean, like, there are kids out there, very poor kids. I mean, they do the thing, Toys for Tots, around Christmas, every year. There is no reason these couldn't go there. Why do they have to go into a dumpster and then into a landfill? If you are such a miser, you don't even want to give them to children. The amount they throw these things out in could easily be melted down to get their precious metals back, and they could make money off of this trash. It's stupid no matter how they try to explain it.
And in addition to Salvation Army, they could probably work with Child's Play to make sure that these peripherals are actually used for their intended purpose. Because I know hospitals are still using GameCubes, for God's sake, because they're durable and they last.
Yeah.
Only excuse I've ever heard that gets bantered about is, well, it costs money to have a guy to take care of all the process. Because it's a lot of paperwork and moving things around.
It's also a tax write-off.
Yes, that's correct. Either way they throw this, they could make money off of it. And even if they didn't want to make money, they could still get rid of it for free without it costing any money. Because there are people that run pet shelters that'll go around to stores and take pet food donations from stores. They just keep it, in the back instead of taking up room in their dumpster. I mean, even if they're giving it away for free, they are making a tiny amount of money.
It's only go through the process. That's asinine.
No reason for that. I mean, oh god, Jake. There's at least 2 GameStops in town. We could get ourselves.
Get the bolt cutters. We're going for a ride.
Yep. I mean, we don't even need bolt cutters. I'm just looking at this, and it's just an open dumpster.
Go grab some boxes, grab all that stuff, go find a children's hospital, just leave it on the doorstep, say,
Well, if you leave a package on the door of a hospital, I'm pretty sure they're going to call a bomb squad and make sure it's not something bad.
I may have been advocating for the children a minute ago, but that was for GameStop to give to the children, not me. All right? Once I get it, it's mine.
Do as we say, not as we do.
Yes. Everyone else give it to charity. If not, I'll keep it.
Well, you know what I always say. Free stuff's the best stuff.
That's right.
No, the best stuff is the stuff you're paid to take.
Sky, you cannot build a house out of old consoles.
Watch us. Just to spite you, we'll do it.
But we can sell them. So GameStop didn't get $50 for his 360, so they're throwing it in the trash. All right, I'll put it on Craigslist for $10. That's fine.
Surprise!
You realize once we have a Craigslist ad up that says, by the way, we've got 100 360s, you can have them for $10, we're going to have cops at our door.
Well, no, I wouldn't do that, but I'm just saying, like, if I had one, but yeah, if I've got, like, bulk amounts, I've got this photo of, like, 100 of them stacked on top of each other in the garage. No.
Guys, back to reality for a bit. My major issue is that now that there's a bunch of publicity about this, they're going to start ordering employees to crush them. That's what I'm afraid of.
What? No.
You heard the man. Get out there and get them while you can.
There is no cop that's going to go around from dumpster to dumpster crushing consoles.
No, I never said it was the cops. I said that the GameStop corporate's problem. No. I said they're going to tell the employees to crush them and just say, oh yeah, it's part of your job. Go ahead and do it.
How would they crush them?
They would literally have to pay people to open the box and hit it with a sledgehammer. Then they have to issue sledgehammers and then hope that their employees don't smash their own feet.
And then safety glasses.
No,
it's cheaper for them to just toss them out.
It's cheaper for them to toss it out, and it would be cheaper and safer for them to give them away. No, they're not going to start crushing them. If anything, you're just going to find some very empty dumpsters.
Well, we are not actively advocating that you break the law and go to your local GameStop. We would not advocate for that, but if you decide to, of your own volition, leave it neater than you found it. Don't make problems for the employees.
Seriously, don't. They get enough crap. Yeah. Don't make their job more difficult.
Agreed. Well, no, fuck the employees in the job. If we leave it neat, that means there ain't no reason for it to be a problem. You know what I'm saying?
That is actually my entire point. I don't really care how hard their job is. I mean, I do insofar as I don't want to be a dick, but your life is easier too if you just leave it neater than when you found it, because if it's not an absolute train wreck the next time they see it, they don't have a reason to report it.
That's right. And their benefit is just a side effect of mine.
Again, we're not advocating that you do this. Now get the bolt cutters.
Who said they need bolt cutters?
Just in case there's a fence.
Just in case.
We'll leave them a new lock with the key in it.
And we got the spare.
Why don't we just go to Home Depot, buy an extended ladder, and just go over it? And if we want to cut anything.
Yeah, they don't put barbed wire around dumpsters.
Hell. Preacher, give us a recap?
Alright, as a quick recap, we have thermodynamics being added to mod packs now. We have The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which we've covered, Ascent the Space Game, Navy Field 2, Conqueror of the Ocean, and Universal Combat CE.
You want to throw a little more stank on that?
How's that sound?
There you go.
Warchild Charity DLC for this war of mine. All the money going to Warchild UK. Awesome cause. Hotline Miami 2 is out. Sid Meier's Starships just came out yesterday. Utorrent's having issues. Java is having the same issues as always, except now it's on a different platform, so more people know the struggle of the PC users. Panda basically shit the tub when they released their new version of their antivirus. And GameStop is basically enabling people who dumpster dive. Oh, and before next week, Bell is not going to be able to be joining us for next week, so I am bringing in a guest host. We're going to have Tate Fox with us. So he's actually going to stream the podcast live on his channel next week.
You can hear what a mess we are before post.
Exactly. So please tune in for that. And if you liked the podcast, please leave a like. If you have any questions or comments on anything in this, please leave a comment in the comment section below the video. If you want to see more of the podcast, please support us and the channel it's being hosted on and subscribe. Otherwise, we won't have a reason to put out more podcasts.
Yeah, and seriously, if there's anything you'd like to see done differently, hear differently, any recommendations at all, be as nasty as you want to be. Just please be detailed. And put it in the comment.
Don't say that YouTube comments.
Most of them are just going to say what they want to say anyway. But, I mean, give them an outlet. Give them an outlet.
But they're not giving the permission.
Give them more of a reason to give us some feedback. Albeit very nasty feedback, but feedback.
You heard the man, everyone. Target skies and sling your shit.
And if you missed the first podcast, there is going to be a link in the description to the previous one. There's going to be an annotation on the screen. It's probably going to be over in the left-hand corner or something. And click on that, give a listen, catch up on stuff.
All right, in that case, guys, thank you for watching. I'm going to sign off, and bye.
I've been Skies. Sling your shit.
Have a good one. I'll see y'all next time.